Well, another Wednesday Night War just passed by. So who won this week's Wednesday Night War? So we're going to talk all about that today on this episode of Deleted WrestleZone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted WrestleZone, all things pro wrestling from AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, many promotions, matches, wrestlers, and championships. I'm your host, J-Rod here. So let's get started right now with this week's Wednesday Night War. As you all know, we just saw some great things that happened for both shows. But the real question is, who won this week's Wednesday Night War in the viewership and the ratings? So the winner is AEW. So they received a much better higher than any other viewership week since AEW Dynamite aired. So they received about 849,000 views. From last week, they received about 788,000 views. So it went up 7%, and they received a rate of 0.32. Now NXT, on the other hand, it went bad for them this week. They received 615,000 views, but a week ago, they actually received 631,000 views, and with the rate of 0.17. Now, you can ask yourself, for all you WWE fans, you ask yourself, how could this have happened? AEW is pure trash, and NXT is better. Well, look, I get it. I got people, WWE side. I got AEW, and then you got the middle. They're both shows. I'm that guy. I'm the guy in the middle. Don't get me wrong. There were some great matches that they had and great storylines in this whole thing. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But that's how it is. The result is. The fact remain is the fans win this one. So that's how it goes. But it is what it is. AEW got the most viewerships and the ratings. So if you have a problem, for you WWE fans, you ask yourself, how could WWE get back on track? Well, send an email to Vince. It's plain and simple. Okay? So right now, let's just start with AEW from start to finish, and we'll move on from there. Alright, so let's get started with AEW Dynamite. First match of the evening was the infamous 12-man tag team match. Now, this was a very unusual. You ask yourself, as a fan, if you're a fan of tag team, how can one ref handles 12 people in a ring? You got 6 on one side. We have the Elite, Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, the Bucks, teaming with FTR versus Dark Order members. We had Mr. Brody Lee, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, 5, I think, Colt Cabana, and of course Alan Angels. But on the other side, we had by the commentary, we had 10 and Anna Jay right there watching. Now I don't understand why they didn't put 10 involved. I mean, he should be involved in this one. It was kind of weird to use another guy, like someone who is a weak link a little bit. But the match was pretty interesting. You know, there were some great tag team moments. But the one thing it kind of went off is the way it ended, you know, where Cash actually hurt himself. Hangman and Dash took him to the back while leaving the remaining members of the Elite, the Bucks and Kenny, facing the full members of the Dark Order, facing off. But as soon as Hangman Page comes in, he decided to pull out his infamous cowboy shit persona. He had enough of Brody Lee. As you all recall, Brody Lee was angry that Hangman Page did not take the offer to join the Dark Order. And it didn't happen. But Brody is still happy. But the way the match ended, Brody Lee picked up the victory and pinned Hangman Page, proving that the Dark Order will become dominant and take over AEW. That is, but also obliterate the Elite. Now, I don't know how the situation with Cash went place, but we'll see how it goes when they reveal more information on that. The next match, I have to say, this one was one of my favorite tag team match. We had Santana Ortiz facing off the Best Friends, and the Best Friends show up before the match started in Trent's mom's van. So basically, they needed to borrow the van, so Trent called his mom, and of course, Chuck made a decision that he'll take care of it. So he kept his word on that. The match was amazing. I have to say, this was one of the best tag team matches so far I've seen with AEW, especially with the Best Friends. I mean, I know that some of you question sometimes, when are we going to see the Best Friends become AEW Tag Team Champions? I'm hoping soon, because who wouldn't want to see the Best Friends? I do. I'm asking you guys. But it was great, and the way it ended, it was amazing, with the Best Friends picking up their victory. So basically, we could see them down the line, maybe getting another opportunity of the tag team titles. But it was amazing. I loved it. The next thing we have is MJF, his little world championship campaign. As you know, he proclaims that he is the rightful champion of AEW, that he is the true champion, that Jon Moxley is nothing but a dictator, and he believes that that title belongs to him. So he has this poll saying that he's up 100%, while Jon Moxley has 86 point something percent. It's kind of dumb. But someone spoke this out loud to MJF. He said, "What happens if Darby Allin beats Jon Moxley?" He said, "Good for him." So that's the same. I'll get to that in a little bit when we get there. Now, the next thing we see is Matt Hardy. Now, he talks about Sammy Guevara, about what he did to him last week. As you recall, Sammy was gone for a month, and he was in a match, in a 10-man tag team match with the Inner Circle facing off members of the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, and of course, Jungle Boy Luchasaurus of the Jurassic Express. And Matt Hardy got in the way. It cost the match of the Inner Circle, and Sammy was not happy. And their feud has been rekindled again. And Sammy kind of sneaked up from behind because Hardy kind of suspected it. But this became very, very violent, more story. What happened is Hardy pulled out the table, tried to jump on him, but apparently the tables were turned. Sammy got the last laugh, and he made Matt Hardy bleed when he actually put him through a table doing his little 360 flip. So Sammy believes he had the last laugh, but believe me, this is far from over. So I suspect that their match may take place in All Out. If you guys believe so, leave a comment down below. Now, the next thing we see, something happens in the parking lot. Santana Ortiz were not too pleased with the results of losing the match against the Best Friends. Instead of going out and attack them, they decided to destroy Sue's van, Trent's mom's van, trashing it. And it was like, oh man, that's gonna suck. So basically what happened is they want revenge for the lost. But instead of telling them, they decided to send a statement who had nothing to do with their match. But we'll get to that a little more. Next thing we see is another tag team match, but this time, Dark Order members 3 and 4, Alex Reynolds and Jon Silver versus the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes, and of course, his longtime friend, Matt Cardona, formerly known as Zack Wilder. This one was... We were hoping more out of this one. Now, I had to agree on certain people, the way they talked about this match. Majority of the time of the match, we only saw Cody was out there, but not much with... Now, I'm not saying that this was a bad match. I don't know if I speculate certain things, but he showed up right at the moment where it was more convenient, where he picks up the victory. And that kind of ended in that way, where Matt Cardona ended with his finisher mover, Radio Silence, and it was a great match. I'm not gonna lie, but I feel like they could have done more. But as you all know, recently, Matt Cardona has signed a five appearance deal with AEW. We're not sure if this is the same kind of tactic they're going to use they did with FTR before they signed the lucrative deal last week. So it's still unclear on that. But as soon as the match was over, Cody and Cardona and, of course, Arn Anderson were on the way to back. Waiting for them in the tunnel was Scorpio Sky. If you recall from AEW Dark, Scorpio Sky said he's going to take a shot. And now it appears he did. He called out Cody. He wants a shot of the TNT Championship. So, it's now confirmed for next week. Cody Rhodes will put his TNT Championship on the line against Scorpio Sky. I'm excited to see this one. Let's see how this one goes. Because I think this is what people talked about. Like, Cody needs to stop putting over some of the newer freshmen and find someone who has more higher standards. I believe maybe this could be the match that people were wanting to see. But the real question is, what's going to be the outcome? Is Cody going to retain the title, or we may have a new TNT champion being held by Scorpio Sky? I cannot predict it. I cannot say who's going to win, but we have to watch that. Now, next thing we see, the Best Friends made it clear. They made a statement after what Santana Ortiz trashing Trent's mom's van, saying if you wanted a rematch, all you gotta do was ask. And of course, they said they will face them. Under the condition, if they lose, they have to apologize to sue Trent's mom on speakerphone. That I gotta see. Now, the next thing we see is the Super Wednesday debate. Now, this was a very interesting segment, but however, we had a surprise visit from someone, a blast from the past. TNT hasn't seen this guy almost in 20 years. I'm back, better than ever, I'm back. Eric Bischoff. So he is the special moderator. Now, if you must know, is he a full-time member of AEW? He actually talked about this before on previous podcast interviews. He praises AEW. Don't get me wrong, but he did give his expertise to Vince before he left WWE, when he was no longer the creative director of SmackDown. But he did state it. A lot of good features. I can't remember what he said, but he praises AEW. So, but the interesting is the way the whole debate turned out was amazing. Much of the entire debate, Cassidy kind of was quiet, chilled, and had nothing to say until Eric Bischoff gave him a non-wrestling question about the ozone layer, whatever, and then Cassidy actually said it, and you should have seen Jericho's face. He was like, so his mouth just dropped when he saw that. No one expected that. But the best part is how this whole thing of the debate ended. Cassidy said, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to embarrass me. I get it. I don't care. I don't care that you're trying to embarrass me. Because all I care is the match next week. That's the biggest match for me. And I know you're Jericho, man. You done it all. And he's right. Why would Orange Cassidy care about that? Jericho is using psychology in this one. He thinks he can get into Orange Cassidy's head. But Cassidy made it perfectly clear. He's not worried about what's happening now. He's going to worry about next week. So that's one of the great things about Cassidy. But of course, it didn't go exactly as Jericho sent a little message to Orange Cassidy when he sent his little pit bull, or should I say, the Big Hurt, to take out Cassidy and gave him the Judas effect. So we got to watch that next week. And I'll explain to that until I finish with everything on the AEW Dynamite. Let's see. Oh, now, as you recall, Britt Baker has her issues with Big Swole. Britt Baker has been running her mouth, telling everyone she's a role model and all this. When Big Swole came back after many months and no one's seen her since the pandemic, Britt Baker got in her face while she's still in a wheelchair. While that was happening, she said that she would face her in All Out as long as if she beats her opponent that she chooses, and she chooses Reba. Yeah. Out of all the people, she picked Reba. I was thinking she could have picked Nyla Rose, but I remember, like, no, she thinks she's a conspirator. Everything. It crossed that out of the list. But I was thinking maybe Abaddon. I don't know. But Reba. And Big Swole took her out easily. So, but Britt Baker is not happy. And on Twitter, Nyla and Vicky were laughing, realizing that's the dumbest thing. And same thing with Kenny. I mean, why pick Reba? You could have picked anybody else, but no. Now, the main event was for the AEW World Title between Jon Moxley and Darby Allin. But Moxley, before he actually, let's see, I think I might have skipped it. Yeah, this happened like right after the 12-man tag team match. Moxley warned Darby too. Once you are down, stay down. He didn't want to hurt him even further. But it showed a bit of compassion to Jon Moxley, showing that I don't want to hurt you. You know what I'm capable of. It's like he's seeing a younger version of himself. The more it was becoming like that, more of it was Jon Moxley dominant. But at some point in the match, Warlord shows up, distracts the referee, and MJF shows up, whacks Moxley with the belt. It was a smart tactical move. He knows he cannot beat Moxley, or he's afraid of facing him. So he thought, go with the easiest guy, Darby Allin. But it did not work. But Moxley continued with the assault on. He even survived the first coffin drop that Darby hit on him. But, however, he tried another one, but this time, Moxley caught him and put him in the sleeper hole, and lights out for Darby Allin. And Moxley kind of helped him out, like, tried to say all this compassion about him, you know, and that's how it is. So it appears that MJF is not happy with the results. He's more afraid. It's kind of like the same thing with Jericho. He was too afraid to face Moxley or whatever. But that's how it is. So their match is going to take place now. Now, keep in mind, folks, next week it's going to be Tag Team Appreciation hosted by FTR. So that's coming up next week. So now let's move on with NXT. All right. So right now we've got NXT. Certain things were interesting in this event that they had, this live show. So basically, it started out with, for the number one contendership for the women's and the NXT Women's Championship to face off against Io Shirai. We had Rhea Ripley and Dakota Kai. Now, how this whole thing began. Dakota Kai believes in herself, that that this is her division and Io Shirai is done. But Rhea Ripley still has some unfinished business with Io Shirai. And of course, she wants to regain the title that she lost this past WrestleMania against Charlotte Flair. But this time, Rhea Ripley has Dakota Kai in her sights. She knows she has to get her way. But much of the match was mostly been dominated by Rhea Ripley until Dakota Kai was getting more of the momentum. However, it did not go according to plan to Rhea Ripley. Before the match ended, out of nowhere, Mercedes Martinez shows up and attacks her when the ref did not watch. And the result of that, Dakota Kai won the match, happy that she got what she wanted, a shot of the title. But you ask yourself this question: why would Mercedes Martinez did it? Simple. Weeks ago, Robert Stone was trying to recruit her for the Robert Stone brand, but Rhea Ripley wants no part of it. So she said she was done with the Robert Stone brand. But the real question is Robert Stone brand holding a grudge? We'll just see a little later for that. Now, the next match we have Bronson Reed, who is one of the members of the qualifying match for the North American ladder match on TakeOver 30. Is facing off against Shane Thorne. Now, Shane Thorne has been very insultful against Bronson Reed, making fun of him, believing that a guy like him doesn't deserve a shot to become the North American champion. Reason is Bronson Reed earned his spot in that match in particular because I believe he is becoming the bigger star that he should be, because he showed a lot of great character in his previous matches, and the way he handled things with Karrion Kross and others, and his friend Leo Ruff, if you recall that. But the match went great. It went in Bronson's favor. It showed he is a true star that's coming out to the top. I'm excited to see but he won this match. I enjoyed Bronson Reed. I think he is a really great character, an upcoming star. I can't wait to see more of him. Next thing we have is Legado del Fantasma. As you recall, they have some unfinished business with Breezango. If you recall back at the Great American Bash, Breezango teamed with Drake Maverick, and Breezango dressed as luchadors. But to Legado del Fantasma, especially Santos Escobar, he treats it as an insult, believing that Lucha Libre has been declared by many, especially foreigners, that as a joke, a comedic relief, and all this other stuff. So they decide to take the revenge on Breezangos to teach them a lesson: don't insult their culture. I mean, Breezangos just like to have fun. What's wrong with that? But they didn't take it lightly. So they attacked Breezango and kidnapped Fandango and put him in the car. So we haven't seen from them until later on. We'll get to that. And then later we see Robert Stone talking about saying Rhea Ripley may have been done with us, but the Robert Stone brand is not. So it looks like there's going to be a new feud happening between Rhea Ripley and the Robert Stone brand. So as long as Rhea Ripley cannot get her shot of the title, she has to get in front, face off against Robert Stone brand, costing her this, but she has to go through Mercedes Martinez. So this is going to be an interesting storyline and an interesting feud. I hope it turns out great the way I hope. Next thing we see is another qualifying match in the Triple Threat Series of the North American Championship qualifying match. We had Damian Priest, Orny Lorcan, and of course, straight out of the UK, Rich Holland. Now, I was kind of going for either Priest or Lorcan, because Lorcan, he's a big time brawler, but Priest, we all know what he can do. I'm excited for it, but every shot that went in this, punch after punch, kick after kick, bumping, all of that was so insane. So I didn't know who I was expected, but I have to say I liked how this ended. Damian Priest won this match. I'm happy that he did it, because if you guys are fans of Damian Priest from his previous name, Punishment Martinez, then yeah, I feel he's on the right path. But the real question is, will he ever win the North American title? He has gone after that title once before, but we just got to wait and see where they're going to go with it next. Now, the next match we had is Cameron Grimes and Keith Lee. Now, Keith Lee, his mind is not in the right place. Well, it is in the right place, but he is focused solely on Karrion Kross. But Cameron Grimes, he's trying to take a shot at Keith Lee for the title. But Keith Lee will not have his Cameron Grimes trying to explain what happened to Dijakovic. But Cameron Grimes doesn't care. He cares about one thing: taking a shot and obtaining what he felt he deserves, which is the NXT World title. So this match was set. But man, Cameron Grimes did everything in his power to pick up the pin, but every time he does, Keith Lee is not going down like that. But there was a moment where he, instead of trying to beat him, he wanted to punish him badly. Keith Lee was mean business, showing him, I don't have time for you, but you got in my way, I'll beat you some more. And he picked up the victory for that. But as soon as he won, another message from Karrion Kross. And this time is loud and clear. He took out certain people in the locker room. And one of them I saw was Orny Lorcan. Karrion Kross is now crossing the line, going crazy. But he said this time it's not about the title. It's about getting a shot against Keith Lee in general. So this is going to be one of those interesting segments. So I can't wait to see that. Now, next thing we see is, the announcement by William Regal. Now, ever since Keith Lee relinquished the North American Championship, decided to give opportunities to other wrestlers, since he's now going to be fully focusing on the NXT Championship. There's been already 2 matches of the Triple Threat Series for the North American Championship qualifying matches. However, last week we saw a match between Dexter Lumis, Finn Balor, and of course, Timothy Thatcher. The winner of that match was Dexter Lumis. I was excited. However, because of what happened, he injured his ankle, and he is being removed to be part of the qualifying match. But William Regal did declare that guys like Finn Balor, Roderick Strong, Johnny Gargano, and maybe Timothy Thatcher, those who lost already in their respected triple threat matches, will get a second opportunity to fill up the spot. So I can't wait to see that. So William Regal already made that perfectly clear, and that could take place possibly in the upcoming weeks. So remember, the qualifying match, the ladder match for the North American Championship will take place at NXT Takeover 30. Next thing we see, Legado del Fantasma making their statement about what Breezango did back in the Great American Bash, making fun of their culture. But as soon as Tyler Breeze showed up to save Fandango, it was too much. But Santos Escobar has one person in his mind that he does not appreciate. The one man who beat him in the early stages of the Cruiserweight tournament, Isaiah Swerve Scott. So he tells him never speak his name. This is gonna, I predict that Breezango is gonna team with Scott to take on the Legado del Fantasma. This wasn't the first time those 3 guys have faced off before. There was that one time they did teamed up against Imperium. That was like a year ago. But now this is gonna be great to see. Hopefully it turns out that way. So moving on. Damian Priest gave a little small interview, knowing that he is happy that he got his shot, that he is going to be in a qualifying match, and he's going to etch his name in the history books, all this other stuff. But not until Bronson Reed was there to congratulate him and all this and that. And of course, they decided, you know what? Let's face off one-on-one. So Bronson Reed and Damian Priest will face off in a one-on-one match. It has nothing to do with the ladder match, but this is going to be interesting to see. Next, we see Pat McAfee. If you guys remember, Adam Cole lost his mind when Pat said something offensive to Adam Cole. He lost his mind. He cursed. But earlier in the day, they kind of buried the hatchet, knowing that everything was going great. But the main event was kind of becoming a very interesting storyline. No, but we get to that. The next match we see is Tegan Nox versus Indy Hartwell. Now, Tegan Nox, in my opinion, I feel like right now they're giving her a very good push right now. Even though she did not win the NXT Women's Championship against Io Shirai, but she has proven that she is well on her way to become a big time star in NXT. And I have to say, she is showing a lot of promising potential in NXT. But however, there is one person that was not there, but has a problem with her, and that is Candice LeRae. She hasn't forgotten what Tegan Nox did weeks ago when her and her husband attacked Keith Lee and Mia Yim. And of course, all of this happened because of that. And but this match was interesting and great. I have to say, Tegan Nox impressed me a whole lot more. I can't wait to see more of her. And she won this match. This is showing her she's getting that push. Now, the main event was for the NXT Tag Team Championship. We got Imperium, Aichner, and Barthel versus the Undisputed Era, Fish and O'Reilly. Now, can the Undisputed Era get their mojo back? Well, the real question is, we don't know. And of course, it was good. The match was good. But however, Pat said some remarks that pissed off Adam Cole again. So he pushed his buttons. Sorry, folks. Someone's texting me, but I gotta do this real quick while I'm talking. So anyway, at some point, the match was later focused on Adam Cole confronting Pat. And because of this, it cost both Fish and O'Reilly the tag team titles. But however, the whole feud, it escalated badly. So Triple H told Pat to take off. And when he did, he went back and he caused more tension. And what Pat did, he punted Adam Cole right in the face and knocked him out. So now it's becoming clear a new Adam Cole will face against Pat at TakeOver 30. I can't wait to see this. So basically, there were some great moments that they had in NXT. But like I said, it's all about the fans, how they enjoy every match, every moment, every story, everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget, next week we got the FTR presenting Tag Team Appreciation on that. And of course, we got many things coming up for both shows. But for now, I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.